good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for visiting us at Norwich today. We're used to wandering about, but we've been told this is being recorded, so we have to be here. So sorry about that. We'll try and put ourselves back to this space.
Absolutely.
So just to introduce ourselves, I'm Kate Farley. I'm Associate Professor in Design and Course Leader of BA Textile Design. I'm a print and pattern designer as well, and I've authored a book on the subject of repeat pattern for interiors. So feel free to ask me anything about that. This is...
Hello, my name's Eleanor. I'm one of the lecturers on fashion and I'm the first year lead. So for any of you guys that come and join us next year, I look forward to meeting you then. My background is millinery, so hat making and accessories, and I came from Topman when that was a beautiful ship that is no longer now. So yeah, so I've been here 2 years and work on the fashion team.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to talk you through the two courses, and you'll hopefully get a sense that there's lots of synergy, but we also hope through this presentation, by having two courses together, really help you to determine which one you are most interested in, and you'll have a tour around all the facilities anyway. So first off, it's brilliant to see you here. I think choosing where you want to study in textiles and fashion is really about coming to see whether you feel like you can be a good fit. The idea is that we want everybody to thrive and really succeed here. So we know that we may not be for everybody, but we're incredibly proud of what we do, and Norwich is a really fantastic place to work and live. I've been here 6 years. I'm from Norfolk. I went away, came back many decades later. Yeah, so we'll talk through the kind of ethos of the university to start with. We are a specialist arts university, so there's not a huge number of those around the country, but it means that everybody in the institution absolutely understands what it's like to be creative, the highs and the lows, and why we're striving to do this. So we're absolutely passionate about creativity, about practical skills, but also creative criticality and sort of intellectual stimulation as well. That's really vital. We've got a really forward-thinking strategy that we have been commended on, winning the Arts University of the Year from the Daily Mail this year, and that was really based on not only student feedback and data, but also the university's strategic plan that we're rolling out now. We have fantastic industry experts working with all of our courses, and it feeds into the sort of holistic programme that students and staff can engage with as well, which I'll talk you through. We are also the only arts university to have won the TEF Triple Gold, and what that means is that's student feedback, is based on student experience as well as student outcomes, so student data too. But it's an incredibly collective effort for all the staff and the students, and we're incredibly proud of that. So just talking through the kind of experience as a whole, the BA system is the same across the country. So when you're trying to compare courses in one institution to another, you're talking about 120 credits per year, and when you add that up over 3 years, you have 360 credits. That gives you a BA honours degree. You may be looking at courses that have modules. We have units here. It's just the currency, really. It doesn't make any particular difference. You're still after 120 credits that you need to pass. The pass mark's 40%, and we're happy to give up to 99, 100 if that's what the work warrants. So our two main years of entry is year 0, which is our integrated foundation year, and the students come onto that. It's a really good year that prepares students to cope with that challenge from going from school or college an FE into higher education. So learning a lot of kind of risk-taking and practical skills and research study, lots of kind of team working and confidence building as well. It's not diagnostic. You choose which degree course you will be undertaking, so therefore it will be a 4-year degree, unlike the conventional foundation courses that you might have heard of that are diagnostic, so you try everything and then specialise. So this is, you're attached to the degree course that you apply for. Otherwise, our main entry is year 1, and you'll see year 1, 2 and 3 have all got 2 units in each, a short one and a long one. Inside each of those units you have a number of projects. Some of them might be an essay, for example, a reflective element, an industry element, as well as the design projects that sit well for fashion and textiles. We have some that we share, so some projects that we share, so for example some sort of critical essay programmes we share, and others are really quite distinctive within the course. So we really sort of shake up the different sorts of learning. So we have kind of lecture-based sessions, we have very practical workshops, we have tutorials and that sort of thing, and the students feel very much part of the kind of the bigger university because of the other elements that we add. So you can see there, Make It Manifesto. I'll just explain that. That's in the first week of term with the new students as well as the returning students, and we have this sort of creative festival, and both Fashion and Textiles produce sort of really kind of wow sort of displays this year. And then there's a whole day of celebration where you sort of finish it in the morning and then you walk around the whole university and see all the other courses have done. But it means that the students have got to know each other on their course across the year groups, which is a really great asset to start the year off with. And then interchange, we have 2 weeks of interchange within the year. They're just after submission points, and they give you an opportunity to join in all the way across the university. So there are workshops and lectures and tours and trips, and they are really, really varied. So some are very practical skill based, some of them are more sort of critical thinking or cultural development. They also include things like roller skating or drawing owls. So really, really varied. But what it does is it gets the students to be very good at sort of networking across the university and building teamwork from, you know, that you can get to know a photography student. That might be really useful in R2 courses, or you can go into animation. So you get to know students across the campus, which is really positive. And then Winterfest is because winter's sometimes, well, it's cold, wet and dark, and so we have this kind of huge celebration led by the Student Union, which is full of lots of really social activities. And they also organised the week of Make It Manifesto, a huge amount of kind of social activities as well, pulling together our community. Throughout the year we have the VC lecture talks, so they are really exciting lectures that come here, and the lecture theatre next door is absolutely filled with students and staff, and they're a real sort of highlight. And then we have a bank plane project, which is the bank plane building is at the top of the hill. It used to be a huge bank, obviously, hence its name, and the courses can take over that huge space and have a big project. So I don't know whether you're going to be talking about that, so I won't spoil your thunder there. Okay. The thing I haven't mentioned is in between year 2 and year 3, you can apply knowing you want to select this option, but you can also choose as you're in year 2 as well. You can do a level 5 diploma in creative professional development or level 5 diploma in creative computing. And what's really exciting is that the student has sort of almost a sort of gap year, thinking about different skills and putting their discipline in a different context. And it's been really exciting this year, having third years now coming back. I've got one from each of those, and just that they've just sort of grown in a slightly different way and sort of got more confirmed ideas of what they're interested in. So it's been a really positive process so far. Okay, so I've mentioned different kind of lectures and seminars, tutorials, presentations. Sometimes we have we work with visiting lecturers or hourly paid lecturers that come in with very specific skills that they share, but otherwise we work closely, the academics and the technical team work incredibly closely, and we're building kind of all the transferable professional skills alongside the practical and sort of technical skills as well. The workshops, I would say, are the complete sort of heart of both of our courses. So it's a place where you can meet not only people from each of the year groups in our course, but also students come, particularly in the textiles workshop, come from other courses and are working in there as well, our technician supply and service students right the way across the university. So we have really well equipped workshops, and we will sometimes teach in there, but also the students can book in there when they're not timetabled as well, and you can be in there from Monday. We have sort of talk sessions they can book in during the day, but we also have 5 till 9 Monday to Thursday, and it's also open on a Saturday. So we don't encourage kind of 24/7 working, but we do encourage flexibility. It does allow students to think about their care responsibilities or their work schedules alongside the study. We do expect 37 hours a week of study, but we help the students time plan and sort of manage the kind of their job lists, their to-do lists, and we always talk about tangible plans. The investment we've had sort of in the last few years, we've got Clo 3D, which is a fantastic fashion digital software, which is an incredible opportunity for students to go into industry with that industry standard software skill. And we've also got Stoll software and a Stoll knit machine, so it's a digital knit machine, and it's absolutely elevated what we can provide, and not every university has that. but the printers are working on it, the knitters are programming it, and again, leaving ready for industry with really desirable industry skills, which is really exciting. When we run workshops, the courses generally will pay for the materials that are being used in that taught session, and then the students can customise and sort of buy extra fabrics or different dyes depending on how they're wanting to take their project on. So we are aware that fashion and textiles does require lots of materials, but we provide as much as we can. We also get huge amount of donations and dead stock from industry, and we're very good at getting sponsorship as well. We also help the students get sponsorship because that's enabling them to sort of use those skills and gain that confidence in asking as well. So we have a shared lecture programme. In fact, next Wednesday we've got the fashion alumni Alice Potts, who is a fantastic sort of bio-textile material developer. So she's coming to talk, or she'll be online talking to the all of the fashion and all of the textile design students. And it's a really great way, because it's delivered online, we can have people right the way across the world phoning in. We just have to sort out time zones. And it's recorded, so people can go back and listen to it another time as well. But it's a real asset. And really supports the students. And students can suggest who they would like, and then we will do our best to get those the industry partners in as well. We have quite a few shared projects that are running through each of the years, but we also try to put in extracurricular projects because it means that students can work without the pressure of submission and assessment requirements. So here's some photos that we've got here. We worked with a drag queen, and fashion and textile students were sort of given a brief by the client and worked on those. This was a kind of Wednesday afternoon session that was taught by, or sort of delivered by Misty, and also technical support as well, which was really, really exciting. We've just had a suppliers day, which is this image here. So we had loads of industry suppliers coming in, so companies like Uppingham Yarns and Abraham Moons for woven fabrics, which was really, really exciting. So students were able to get free material, but also discounts and opportunities to kind of source later. And then we worked with Cancer Research UK, so we were using kind of dead stock clothes and refashioning those into clothes that were used for a breast cancer awareness catwalk, and so it was an incredibly empowering opportunity for the students to see their garments on the catwalk, but it was a really kind of sharing, quite emotional journey for the people that were wearing those clothes as well. So I'm going to hand you over to Ellie. There you go.
Hi, you right?
Perfect.
Perfect. So thanks for that, Kate. We're going to now move on and have a quick look at our fashion. Basically, the main thing that we want to kind of really showcase to you guys is that the degree is fashion. That's the title. It's not fashion design, it is fashion. And that's really exciting because it opens up all these different areas within the sector that you can experience. So that could be that you come here as a real maker and you want to continue and push that, or you come here as someone that maybe is interested in the illustration side or the kind of more, I need to get my words out now. So if you were interested in the making, that's amazing as well, but also we offer the other side. We're looking more into film, that's becoming way more relevant as well within the industry, or if you're into kind of the technical pattern cutting, we can support that as well. Yeah, so that's what's really exciting. It's all about the skill sets that you can learn within fashion, and then you can take it forward however that you want. And that's a real big push, and that freedom within the course is something that we really encourage. So I will talk you through kind of each of the years and how we build on the skills. So like I keep saying, we talk about the skill sets that you're learning. We're not expecting you to learn them once and then we step away. We gradually introduce them throughout each of the 3 years. The first year is all about unedited work. We find a lot of the time that we're spending, especially in this first unit, is about that freedom. You know, I have so many questions. How many pages in my sketchbook? How many designers do I need to look at, etc.? We now are going to start supporting you to really explore how you guys want to experiment and what is it that you want to show. And that's what really the first year is about. Wrong one? No worries. You're welcome to stay. No. So I had a really interesting chat actually with a parent at the last one we did here, where they were saying, oh, I don't want my daughter to do it. I really think that this is a passion project. and that fashion isn't really an industry. And I think that's why this course is exciting, because it isn't just about cutting a pattern and making a garment. It's so much bigger than that. It's about communicating. What do you guys want to communicate? Do you want to push a political message? Are we making statement pieces? Do you want to work within the current industry, or do you want to change it all up and do something new? And that is what we can explore and support, definitely within the first year. So we do that by really building the community. Like Kate said, we come together a lot in the first year. It's really important. You create this tribe, these group of people that are going to support you through the 3 years. We do a lot of work around that. Creative and life drawing skills. This is because a lot of people come here like, I hate drawing, I don't want to. We call it mark making for the very reason that there is no right or wrong. It is all about who you are and how you communicate. And if you want to communicate successfully, then we need to obviously explore the skill set to allow you to do that. We start off with the visual presentation skills and digital design. Again, we don't drop you straight into Clo 3D and expect you to be making straight away. We start off with Adobe, and we start off very gently in the first year, because again, that really freaks some people out. We start off by exploring how you trace garments on Adobe. We start off by doing things like we create a button and then we use the laser cutting machine to cut it out. So it's really simple stages just to get you guys used to being in and confident to use the materials. The contextual and industry awareness, we start that kind of later on in the first year, and that's the idea of understanding where you can get your research from. So yes, it's great if you're looking at fashion designers, but what else is out there? Because you'll find that people working in the industry don't generally get inspired by other designers. There's something else that they're exploring, and that's something that we really enjoy exploring. You know, come to me with this amazing car mat that you saw and a teddy bear from your childhood, and let's see what we can do with it. And there's some really exciting kind of big scale projects that we can play with. Okay, so here's some of the examples. Again, like we said, collaboratively, we've just had our bank plane project. We had it last week, and that was with the artist Jeremy Hutchinson, who came in. He's a fine artist, and he makes these huge zombies that he then goes and disrupts fashion headquarters with. So he went and blocked ASOS headquarters, and he talks a lot about where the second-hand clothing is, and he talks about how aid aids the aider, and that was a really interesting theme that we discussed with the students. That, you know, at the moment, the fashion industry is linear. You design it, you source it, you make it, you wear it, and then it's gone. And we're talking about how can we do that in a statement piece as creatives? How can we kind of stand up and address it? And they're the kind of things that we'll be doing in group work again. So here we've got some just examples where it's all very exploratory. There is no kind of final outcome. It's all about building on the skill sets. To help with that community, we offer this mentorship with years 1, 2 and years 1 and 3. So when you start, you would get introduced to a second year. There's about 4 first years and 1 second year. And it's just that chance that if you want to ask someone that's lived the year, you can. And they're really, you know, the second years are always really open to help you with that. It's also really good because you will be working in the studios with first, second and third years. So it's another great way that sometimes if you just walk in, that you've already know someone in there. So we really kind of encourage that mentor idea between the first and second years. With the first and third years, we do a great scheme in the second unit, so that's kind of after Christmas, where you support the third years create their final collection before they go to Graduate Fashion Week, or however it is that we celebrate at the end of the year. And that again is really exciting. The first years kind of come in and start to understand, 1, where your skill set development goes over the 3 years, and 2, what it is to actually work collaboratively on someone else's item, and also bringing in your skill sets to support them. So these are 2 things that work really well. Moving on to second year, the way that we build from here is that we start looking outward a bit more. So kind of first year is all about you. Who are you as a creative? What it is that you want to explore and experiment, and we open you up to all the workshops, 3D, textiles, animation if you want to, you know, working collaboratively. That's the first year. We move that on then to second year, that you're going to start looking outward. So you have an industry-facing brief for the second year. Last year they worked with All Saints. They had to put together a charity T-shirt based on one of the charities that All Saints help. All Saints launched the project. They then came in halfway and supported. Then the second year had to present back to the buying team. Then the buying team chose a winning design, which was then taken forward to be presented to their management. The second years that also won were then able to go into All Saints for a day and shadow the staff. So a really kind of great way of just seeing where your skill sets could go. We also, within the second year, is considered more technical. So in the first year, we're introducing you to the sewing machines, the overlockers, with seams, we're talking about materiality, all for you to explore. In the second year, we're starting to think, okay, which fabric is relevant to what you're using? How are you actually going to communicate that message? So there is a much more of a technical element to it. I've said this before and some people are like, oh, that sounds terrifying. You have to remember you'll have done it for a year, you'll have lived it for a year, you'll be ready, we will support you to get to that stage. So it's actually really exciting because you get to elevate the skills that you've started to learn. We also obviously are always talking about ethics and sustainability. It's such a massive global issue to squeeze into 2 words, and we really frame it here as a discussion, because what is current will not be current when you guys graduate, so we need to discuss what's happening now and think about ways that we can move it forward. And we want us as, you know, a university to address some of these issues in a creative way, because that, I feel, is how we can make the change. And within second year, that is much more of a focus, in that you'll be looking also in inclusive design, zero pattern waste, all these kind of ideas kind of come about much more in the second year. So explore more in the first year, start to kind of place it more in the second year. And here's some of the examples. So here on the top, I would show you, but I'm not allowed to move. And the top left is the example of Clo. So for any of you that don't know what Clo is, it is this avatar where you're designing and making a pattern and you can map it onto a body. It's really great, and it's being started to roll out more in industry, because it allows you to reduce the amount of samples you're making, and it allows you to change up the colour, and it allows you to see what would that look like if I changed the fabric weight, or what would it look like if I changed the body that was wearing it. So it's a really exciting kind of piece of software, and we have an amazing lecturer, Tina, who comes in and just specialises on it. And what's so fun about her is that when you're taught it from Clo, it's about making the pattern to put on the body, whereas Tina likes to explode the pattern off the body to then see what it looks like. So there's quite a fun kind of way of learning that. The bottom picture is just some of the students that went to All Saints, and then the other 2 are these ideas of where we take that technical skill set. So again, we're not looking at kind of tailoring and it has to be perfect and smart. It's about what you explored in the first year and how you want to incorporate it. So for example, the middle picture, you've got the knitwear included with the suiting. So it is about how you bring all of those areas of interest in. Here's just some of the examples of the brands that we have worked with. The one that we've done, obviously All Saints last year, the Yarmouth Oilskins is a local brand. It's an amazing that manufacture in Yarmouth, and they make a lot of they started off obviously making oilskins for fishermen, and they've expanded massively to a global brand. That's who the second year are working with this year. Okay, so that's some examples. Third year is really exciting. For the third year, it is obviously all about presenting yourself. It isn't a case that now we expect you to start third year knowing who you are, and therefore that's the trajectory that you're on. It is about saying, these are the skill sets I've learned, how can I present those professionally? And that's what we support you with. There's obviously the academic research and writing. By this stage, you'll have done essays already in the first and second year, so we're looking at that kind of how do you communicate in an academic and formal manner. Visual presentation skills, vital for any role that you decide to go into, and again we support you with that. So as part of the third year, you do get selected. If Graduate Fashion Week, you get selected to be shown, and that's done to a panel of external people that come in and select it. So we help you to get your collection ready and your presentation skills. We also look at how you want to put yourself forward as a portfolio. Like I've already said, film is becoming really, really important within fashion. We see so many more brands and designers not doing the standard lookbooks, but having these little videos that are coming out. We start exploring that in first year, so that by the time you get to the third year, you are confident to create your own film, your own fashion film that you'll be able to use for your promotion. It's all about testing again and experimenting, but this time it's about your final collection. So what it is at that time you want to communicate, how you want to communicate it, and then we can support you to explore that idea. So here's some examples. Again, we've had some students that wanted to put their final collection together digitally, so we've got an example of one on Clo. We have the bottom right one is where Megan from last year, she really enjoyed the fashion illustration. So her collection was very playful, but what she really focused on was how she could communicate that through her drawings. This student here, her final collection was all about building waste. She was living in a house that was having an extension built, and she couldn't get over all of these packaging every time the waste turned up. So she was really playing on the idea of what you could do with it to make a statement. So her piece, she wanted to make this showpiece. They weren't garments that she needed to be worn. And this top one, this was a student from last year. She based hers all on, they were called the Shoemakers, and she wanted to look at the history of Norwich. She was from Norwich, and she enjoyed exploring the idea of the shoe factories that we have here. And her aim was to make garments, really well made, beautifully considered garments that could be worn. So we have such a range that we can support and, you know, kind of allow you guys to experiment with. Here's some more examples. This one here, sorry, bottom left over there, the student grew her own material. She created a cookbook for her portfolio based on recipes she used to make with her grandmother, and she actually made her fabric. So it was, the whole idea was that you could then replant it as well. And she actually had a little video where she'd planted some of that dress and a strawberry plant came from it because it was all strawberry based. It was really exciting. So her idea was much more about the concept, the bigger communication than her garments. But they were really simple, really beautiful. And the model ate one as it went down the catwalk. I don't think it tasted amazing, no. I've got a short video here, but I don't think it will play. Yep, I'll just show you a bit because it's 2 minutes. If I whiz it up to... Oh, do you know what? I'm just going to hit play. I'll just pause it there but it's just an example of however you want to present your work that's relevant. You know, it's a really exciting time for you guys to explore that further. It isn't the bog standard A3 portfolio anymore, and we can really play on that, and so that's quite an exciting element. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Okay. Amazing. Here's an example of some of the competitions and successes that we've had throughout the years. Graduate Fashion Week is something that this third year will be doing. And they will show their final collections. We normally do a collaborative catwalk, so we share it with another university. So it's really fun. It's a really great experience backstage for our students to work with other uni students. A lot of them have actually made friends and gone on to collaborate from there as well. Yeah, and then we'll have a look just at the alumni. So here's some of the examples of where some of the students have gone to. I'll talk you through some of them, but again, I really want to kind of stress that the industry, whatever the industry kind of is at the moment, is changing massively. So that when you come to the third year, it could be, who knows where the job roles are going. We're getting so much more interested in digital. We've got so much more going back into craft and kind of making and having that understanding of where the fabrics are and having purpose to your items. That, you know, I'm really excited to see where this alumni goes and kind of really push the boundaries of what is considered the fashion industry at the moment. So as we already said, I'll just pop on Alice Potts. She's coming in again next week, but she's done a lot of work around the materials that she uses. We've also got someone that's gone to Bronzeware, which is the similar version of Chloe, but they're based in New York. And they do a lot of ideas for that you could actually buy your garment from them. So you could buy your own digital clothes that no one else would have, but you can never wear them, but they're yours. So there's loads of different things that you can explore within here. Okay, amazing. I will hand you back over to Kate.
Okay, so hopefully you understood plenty of kind of distinctiveness, and hopefully as I explained through, you'll see some similarities as well. So Textiles at Norwich, it is a design course, but we very much think about textiles as the broadest possible subject. We always feel that in schools, I mean, it's devastating that textiles GCSE is being taken out of so many schools and colleges. That's a real shame. Because if you think about what you're wearing, you think about your homes, textiles are everywhere, you think about all the transport, and even outer space, we've got materials probably designed by textile designers. So we start our course with that mentality of we can influence pretty much any surface anywhere. And so although we cover the sort of highly commercial route through producing a collection for either fashion or for interiors, we also look, you know, as Elia said, the sort of the conceptual and the alternative, so the gallery space, the immersive environment, the digital space as well, and material innovation and research, which is hugely important for the sustainability journey that we all need to be on. So it's very much about thinking, it's about concepts, it's strongly about making, it's about colour, it's about process. One of the most distinctive things I would say about our course when you're comparing textile design courses or textiles courses across the country is that we don't ask our students to specialise in a particular process into a pathway. So a lot of degree courses ask you to try, you know, print, knit, weave, for example, in the first term or first 2 terms, and then specialise for the rest of the course. We think that's an artificial barrier. Our students are far better equipped for industry and far more desirable if they have multiple skills. They can still be experts, but they have an empathy and understanding and a multidisciplinary skill set. So we encourage them to combine, say, print with knit or weave with embellishment, and they're learning all of those in the first year. They revisit those in the second year, and you get project points where you can determine how you specialise in that particular project. It means your portfolio is really, really broad and varied by the time you get to the end of the course, and your skill sets are really, really exciting. So I'm going to go through some of the slides, just are kind of pictures of the really brilliant work that we have here. So you can see, you know, highly commercial, really beautifully refined, hand-drawn, digitally rendered designs. And then to the right, your right, we've got a really conceptual knit piece about women's identity and relationship with their body. This was a really conceptual knit piece. We found out this week she's just become a freelance knit swatch designer in London and absolutely loving it. Sorry she can't share any images with us, but assures us she's having a great time. And Joanne, whose work it is in the middle here, has just been chosen and exhibited at the Northern Contemporary Craft Fair up in Manchester with the Green Grads for the sustainability credentials, and has been a finalist on an Arts Thread Award. So really great sort of success stories from those. So I mentioned design thinking. This is really important because students are learning technical and practical skills, but it's all sat within this context of design inquiry. So one of the biggest differences between fine art and design is that we always have a client and a brief. So we might set, in some cases, the end point, the client that needs the product, and the starting point can be up to the student, or we determine the starting point and they can determine where that goes. So they get very used all the way through the course to determining different, or project managing very different shaped projects, which means that they can understand I could be a freelancer, I could establish my own brand, I understand I want to be in the swatch agency side of things, I want to be more directional and sort of conceptual, or actually I love the commerciality of it, I want to put a range plan together. And one of our graduates from last year, she actually got a job before she graduated because she realised that although she loved the design, she was really, her strengths really lay in the kind of the business planning, and so she wanted to become a buyer. So she designed a range plan, for M&S and Adidas, put together this whole sort of campaign with a really brilliant buying report, went to M&S for an internship, came out with an opportunity to apply for a graduate job, and she started that the week after she submitted her work. So I think it's really important for you guys to understand we don't have a house style, but we help the students identify their own journey within the really, really broad industry of textiles. And that means it's really exciting for us. We're constantly learning as an academic and technical team as well. So you can see we look at trends, we look at material innovation, we learn pattern design in terms of the kind of ornamentation of pattern, But we're also designing for products, so our students are introduced to pattern cutting and draping on the mannequin, as well as understanding how to design for the built environment, large-scale interiors, for example, automotive too. One of our projects, I've got a slide on in a bit, our students were designing for the air industry, designing for aircraft seating. I learnt too much about the problems of health and safety with an aircraft seat, upholstery, but never looked between the seats. But really, really important. And I love the fact that, you know, we encourage our students to have these distinctive projects for them to grow their own confidence and identity too. So this is sort of really illustrating the textile design mentality. We're problem solvers. We love working with constraints, but as also liberated by possibilities. So this is a woven piece by Rosie, who was working in the 3D workshop. So she was kind of injecting moulds with wire and silicone and creating really sort of tactile and a very adaptable three-dimensional weaves that were for an immersive gallery environment. So she was looking at kind of corporate entertainment and gallery kind of experiential work. And then in complete contrast, we have an illustrator who just loves repeat pattern and dogs. Worked for Hallmark when she graduated. She's got her own brand. If you like dogs, check her out, Florence Poppy Dennis. She does screen printed t-shirts that are really cute, ideal for Christmas. So yeah. Community is a huge part of our course. As textile people, we love working with other people. We're very rarely on our own. So the studio culture is something that we really value and nurture. So we often do kind of show and tell. We just had an industry judging event here, and we invited the other year groups in to come and see the work that had been laid out for industry. The middle image is the Make It Manifesto project, where we had 8 scenes where we had sort of an interiors plus mannequin, and first, second, third years worked on each of these concepts. They worked on it for a couple of days and then produced phenomenal work. And you can see them working in the workshops together there. And we have trips as well. And the bottom right-hand image was actually a really lovely idea that came from the student community. And we were, everybody was learning how to crochet. And those that knew were teaching everybody else. And we had staff and students and the professional services, admin staff came in as well. And everybody was making very small tokens, little crochet pieces, and then we put swing tags on them, and the maker signed them, and we took them to the central distribution of the Norwich food banks, and they were like tokens of love. So and the textile students really, I would say, have really stand by that kind of textiles for good. And small touches like that, as well as, you know, much more considerable action, is something we really admire our student community for. So I'm going to take you through the years. We have got kind of some core elements of the kind of learning experience that you can see there. As Ellie said, the students have access to Adobe Suite and Microsoft Office, so they are you know, really competent by the time they graduate with this software, and we skill build throughout the 3 years. They're learning print, knit, weave and stitch alongside sort of drawing and presentation skills and that sort of thing. You can see some of the examples of the project work there. I deliver design history lecture series as well, so they have a real sort of grounding in kind of terminology and innovation, sort of cultural, political, global concerns that sort of gives them a foundation to understand contemporary practice as well. So I thought a diagram would be really useful for you to understand kind of what our students are up to. Every now and then, each year, we might have to tweak it slightly, but this is what this year looks like for our first years. And we have a timetable that is set right the way from the beginning of the year throughout, so they can see when they've got space for working or anything else that needs to be fitted in. So the Monday is an academic workshop, so they're with the academics. They might have 2 separate sessions, or it might be a long, a 6-hour session. There is lunch break. Tuesdays, they have technical sessions, so they're in the workshops, and again, it might be that they're in, say, the weave workshop in the morning, print in the afternoon, then the group split round. Or it might be that they have one-to-one tutorials plus the technical as well. So we kind of juggle that subject to where it is in the project. Wednesday mornings, we have some studio workshops. We also have online lectures on that day. So it really enables students to determine whether they want to travel into campus on that day or not. So a little bit of flexibility with Wednesdays. And we don't teach on Wednesday afternoons because we've signed an agreement with the student union that means that they're able to contribute to clubs and societies, as well as it's a point in the week where students can plan, do they need to see study skills or the library support as well as carry out paid work. So they can plan their time. We tend to say if they have maybe Wednesday afternoon off their studies, they could be in the workshops one of the evenings in the week to ensure that their project is progressing satisfactorily. Every year group has a self-directed study day. Contrary to belief, it's not a day off. But it means that we're teaching our students how to be autonomous, how to plan their time, how to determine what support they need at that point. So it could be a research trip, it could be getting into the library, it could be booking into the workshops or another workshop across the campus as well, such as the 3D workshops or the CAD suites. On Fridays, they have academic sessions, they have workshops, they have some sessions, first year fashion and textiles, sometimes work together on a Friday as well. And then we have study skills or open studio. So there's always somewhere that the students can work. We have desks all about the place, but we also have the sort of philosophy across the university of we work everywhere. There's a load of spaces with or without PowerPoints for them to work and plug in if they need to. One of the investments I forgot to mention is that we've got a brand new programme, so fashion textiles, fashion communication, fashion marketing and business digital suite. So this means that we've got a designated space that we can book in to teach with the full Adobe and everything else as well. So it's a really great asset to our programme to build the digital competence. Some more examples of some first year work. And then year two, very much as Ellie said, we sort of tend to think, right, okay, they've kind of hunkered down, learnt those basic skills, got those real foundation understanding of the potential of textiles, and then we sort of turn them around, face the world and say, well, kind of what's your relationship with this? Where are you thinking that you might begin to go? So we have set projects, but there's, as I say, sometimes they can determine the product or the direction, the context that they're designing for, and certainly the concept as well. So you've got examples of some of the projects. The second years now have just completed 4 weeks of 1 week projects. It was the same concept and the same client all the way through, but every week was a different context. So this one was, they did children's wear, they did interiors, bedrooms, they did sportswear. What have I missed? Children's wear, did I say that? Got 4 contexts anyway. So lots of kind of increasing the digital skills, because in our workshops we have the traditional processes such as screen printing, but they also learn the digital printing, and that's the same for knit, for weave, and embellishment as well. So they're reintroduced to all of those at the higher level to keep them really, really versatile and confident with the workshops. At this point, you can decide whether you want to opt into the level 5 diplomas that we offer, as I've mentioned before. Last year we ran a project with John Lewis, which was really, really exciting, and the prize was a student spending a week shadowing the staff over in John Lewis, and that's absolutely transformed that student's perception of what third year might be about for them, and that's incredibly exciting, thinking that she's really wanting to go into events and marketing and styling as well. So that's really great for her. Some more examples there. So we teach students how to put boards together, both digitally and physically. In terms of submission, our students submit both physically and digitally throughout the year in different ways, so they're learning different presentation skills. And then I think something that's really grown over the last 5 years or so is this element of inclusive design, of adaptive design, of responsible design, and we put that right the way through the degree courses within the university. So sustainability is part of the learning outcomes, but also the projects that we write are testing the students to be responsible designers, to think about, you know, as Ellie said, that idea of, you know, you've worn something, you're going to throw it away. Well, now we're trying to think about that circularity, how something can come back into the system. We're not losing the waste, and how can you design for longevity? And that's a really important element. We've also got doers in the textile community. So the students decided to set up a pop-up shop to share spare materials, and this was hard and soft materials, and that was across the university. So people sort of had a big bank of materials, and you could come and swap and exchange, and also just take as well as contribute and donate. So really, really exciting opportunity. They worked with the sustainability working group that is run by the dean and academics as well as the students. So it's a really collaborative working group that are working to improve. And things like light bulbs or waste management, that sort of thing, the sustainability group makes sure that the courses are supported in those strategies too. And then year 3, this is very much about, you know, what do you need to prepare for graduation? I would agree with Ellie that some of the students are very clearly not necessarily very set on what they want to do. They've got several options. We often say, well, what do you not want to do? Because that's sometimes easier than working out what you do want to do. I absolutely advocate for the fact that, you know, when you apply to us, it's you plus your portfolio. When the students leave us, it's them plus the portfolio. There's no point in having an amazing portfolio of work if you don't have the confidence and the ability to articulate your passion and your worth and sort of skill set and ambition. So we do a lot of presenting to staff, to their peers, to the employability team, but also we bring in industry for them to be pitching. So next Tuesday, our third years are working on a live project with Habitat, and they've just submitted some boards for the review to the design team in Habitat, and then we'll be online presenting and discussing feedback for those students. So that's really, really exciting. So yeah, they are writing their research reports at the moment, and then that's done by mid-November, and then they're focusing on their final major project and their career development plan. And something that's a real asset of this university is from a really brilliant business and employability team that is really embedded in each of our courses. The students have bookings for one-to-ones with their CVs or career discussions, and they are embedded in sessions that we have as well. So this week we were talking about LinkedIn and CVs and kind of reaching out for sponsorship as well, so quite varied. This is an image in the middle here of new designers. So currently we take a selection of our students to new designers, and the university pays for the students to be able to participate in that. The students pitch, and then we make a selection really based on whose environment that is, who is right for that environment, for that particular sort of industry setting, because it's highly competitive and quite a sort of an arduous task, but a fantastic opportunity all the same. So you can see some of the third year work there. So I've set up an Industry Awards Day, which is a huge celebration in May, and I invite a number of industry players in. So John Lewis, the creative director of Dulux, the director of Art Angels Publishing, the director of East Anglian Art Fund. So really, really broad, and the students are all pitching, and then we have award winners. So we have students that are practicing their pitches, and we do sort of interview practice. We have a photo shoot, so we do a photo shoot practice with BA2 photography. So that's a real collaboration. Our students are learning how to direct, how to be creative director and stylist, and the photographers are learning how to kind of work with the textile designers. And that's all preparation for a final professional photo shoot that we pay for, and the students all get some portfolio images, and it's great for the promotion for the course and the individuals as well. As well as the live project with Habitat, we're currently in a really fantastic once-in-a-lifetime project with Liberty. We are working with Nottingham Trent and Chelsea, so the three of us, three institutions are working with Liberty to create an AI toolkit. So our students are using AI software right the way through the design project, from understanding concepts to critiquing their work to generating pattern ideas and colour palettes and communicating the project. So they went down to Liberty and had an amazing tour and introduction to the project. They've had lectures online, we had a big symposium, and then we're delivering some of the AI sessions as well. So that's an incredible opportunity. And this is about Norwich being part of a conversation to establish how we deliver AI in creative environments, because although it might be really scary, we can't hide away from that. We're best off being informed, because if the textile designers aren't having the conversation about AI, it'll be the tech geeks that will be in there and not understanding what we really need out of textile design. The other live project that we ran last year and we're doing again is with Rickamore, which is an amazing Indian embellishment company. They set the project, the third year's worked on an incredible embellishment project for 4 weeks as part of their final major project. And then the winner, which was Melissa here, sent off her woven fabric, and they've embellished it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I don't really want to send it to Melissa because it's lovely having it in our office to appreciate. But yeah, that was a real excitement and highlight of the year. Bottom right, you've got Habitat presenting, having the students pitch to them. So some more final work. And then recent awards, we really encourage our students to enter as many competitions as possible. Sometimes there's a monetary value in applying, because you can win cash prizes or work placements, for example. But also it's great for the CV and great to be able to shape the portfolio with a number of external facing projects. Some of the projects are built into projects, some of the competitions are built into the projects, and some of them are extracurricular, so we'll run kind of out of teaching time support sessions to enable students to put the portfolios or the presentations and statements together. So this morning I was sorting out applications for the Framework Knitters bursary, so the third years can put themselves forward to win some money and support for their final major project. So I'm wishing those well. And we've just heard fairly recently that we've got the category winner for IDOT, which is brilliant. We've got lots of successes from new designers. And in fact, the Blinds Direct one is quite an interesting story. In 2021, we received an email saying, could you advertise this competition to your students? And I said, I seem to notice that you're going to be selling the design, but the student doesn't get any money from that. Seems slightly concerning. And I said, I can't share that with the students until there's monetary benefit to them as well. And so he said, I'll leave it with me. And he came back and he said, OK, would £500 do? I said, yeah, that's a fair reward for a design sale. So we then won in 21, and then we won in 22. I don't know whether we entered in 23 or whether it was carried out, but I think I'm wanting to demonstrate how we as a course team really advocate for our students in industry, but I spend a lot of my time educating industry in what our students can offer, and that's a huge part of my role as an advocate. So I'm on a steering group for new designers, I'm on the steering group for the Fashion Textile Courses Association. I'm constantly having conversations with industry to understand, for them to understand the position of graduates now. It helps us shape our curriculum to make sure that we are giving industry what they're wanting, but it's also about educating industry. So it's a two-way process. So here's some of our industry partners. You can see the airline seat project on the right-hand side. We've worked with trend companies. That's really exciting. So the students are sort of offering forward-facing outcomes. But yeah, it's a really important element of our course, and we get industry in to come and talk and to do portfolio crits and that sort of thing. And then our alumni in industry, they are pretty much everywhere, I would say. We've got somebody in Disney, we've got somebody, we've got actually about 4 graduates in Next, but here's some of the others. You may not have heard of Stanfast and Barracks, but they're up in Lancaster. They're a huge textile manufacturer, but there's a big design studio there. We've got 2 graduates in there now. But they print for Sanderson's, for Romo, Harlequin, like all the interiors fabrics will be, a lot of them will be printed there, or their sister company, Anstey, which is the wallpaper company in Loughborough. We have own brands, so knitwear, wavy yarns. There's 3 of our graduates have set that up. We've got Amy, who's Chief Design Officer in Biofabricate, so that's material research and innovation, really exciting developments there. I've talked about Georgie, who's now at M&S, and CMF designer, that's colour, material and finish. That's kind of everything we do as textile people. Always think about the context we're putting our patterns and our colour, and so they work for Jaguar Land Rover. But here's some of the sectors that our students head into, and also the projects that we shape. I would definitely say there's a real growing interest in that bridge between fine art and textile design. But in textile design, you're learning all of those really core skills with those processes. And so you become an expert in the processes, and then you can take that out into the wider world. My practice sits between fine art and textile design. So I think it's a really important understanding. So we're off the mauve slide, so I'm going to just come back to kind of general processes of applying to us and enabling you to think about any questions that you want to ask us. So this year we are offering the opportunity for you to upload a portfolio digitally. We are offering an opportunity for you to have a portfolio review in groups online, or we're offering you a portfolio review on campus in groups. So what we've found is these are really positive opportunities for students, prospective students, to meet each other, but also get a bit of feedback on their portfolio and understand sort of how they might move forward, but also in terms of applying for their place here. When we're looking at the portfolios, there is no kind of preference for us. If you choose the process that works for you, and we don't take more people from one particular method. It's you choosing what suits you. We understand everybody has different preferences, and so we treat all of those absolutely the same. I would say for the portfolio, as an academic team, we've got years, a frightening number of years, particularly in textile design, in looking at the portfolios. And if we see that a portfolio maybe wouldn't thrive at year 1, then we might say we'd offer you a year 0, and that would make you do more than thrive when you come to us in year 1. So we don't want anybody to suffer and struggle. It's about putting somebody in the right place. Equally, if I'm looking at a portfolio and think it's very interiors based or it's very fashion based, if we felt, let's have a conversation with that applicant about whether that's the right course and how do they understand it. It might be a case of they haven't had an opportunity to study textiles, and so that's why the portfolio is a little bit skewed. But we are looking really broadly, so we want to see kind of drawing, materiality, colour, concept, idea development. We want to see kind of project start from finish, as well as kind of core highlights of the projects as well. So you don't have to have studied fashion or textiles before, because we're so confident in the skill that we have in-house to get you, excited and up to speed on the projects. But we need you in your portfolio to demonstrate you understand that this is the right place for you, that you want to develop the skills and context of fashion and textiles. So you can apply for year 0 or year 1. You can also apply for direct entry, which means if you're looking at coming into year 2 or year 3. So we do take students from other universities that would rather finish their degree here, which is understandable, I would say. Perfectly natural, because we're incredibly proud of our course. So I've got some frequently asked questions, which just gives you the opportunity to think about anything that you would like to ask us. When you go on your tour, Ellie and I will hang back, and anybody who wants to ask us questions, we'll sort of walk over with you, so you can ask us that. So the decision about studying fashion and textiles, I hope our talks have enabled you to understand the differences of it. Obviously, both courses work with textiles, both courses work within the fashion context too, but it's really thinking about your predominant context. And certainly if you're going to be an expert in weaving, knitting and printing, that's your textiles. If you're going to be an expert in the pattern cutting and construction, however conceptual that may be,
Absolutely.
then that's the dominance would be for fashion. So it's really thinking about that.
Yeah.
Just to think about the course, the point at the bottom, if we think you're on the wrong course, or if you think you're on the wrong course, always have a conversation with the course leader, and we would do our best to get you to move courses. If we took somebody from animation within the first week, they just were like, no, that's not right. And it's a conversation to make sure you understand kind of where you're best at. And sometimes prior experience doesn't always provide you with the answers of what you will go on and do in the future. So we work hard at getting you in the right place. I've explained, I think, the difference between fine art and design. I think sometimes a bit of a myth is that, fine art is all about concepts. I'm hoping, Ellie and I have explained to you that it's very much concept-led within textiles and fashion as well. But again, if you're wanting to understand the craft and technical skills of both the pattern cutting and the sort of fabric construction, or the processes of knit, weave, print and embellishment and pattern design, then that's about being within our 2 courses. I've said 37 hours per week on campus, working on the project. You don't have to be on the campus all of the time, but you can be, because there will be spaces for you to work. But we understand people need to be in different places as well. So, I'd say 3.5 days probably are sort of pretty much timetabled. We know that's pretty generous, but that's also enabling you to plan your workshop time as well. And people work at different paces and want to be in different places. We always say we've got the lights on, we've got the heating on. It's a really great place to be and have sort of studio culture. We don't have a year in industry. Having said that, I've just signed an intermission request because a student wants to go out into industry for a year, and then we'll come back in a year's time. So you can do that through negotiation with the course leader, and I'm really excited about having her back next year with the amazing experience that she's got lined up. Having said that, we have our diploma opportunities, and you can have industry experience through the professional one of those. What's it like living in Norwich? I would normally ask our student ambassadors that are sat there, but feel free to, they haven't come in yet. When you're walking over with them, do please ask them. I think Norwich is the most fantastic city. It's a fine city, as it says on the sign, but it's a very easy city to live in. I've lived in Birmingham for 13 years, I've lived in London for 8, and Leeds. And for me, Norwich is really walkable, but it's a very inclusive one. We have really lots of independent shops, great cafe culture, and real cultural scene here too. So the students really find it's a great asset as a city to study in. Plenty of them don't leave afterwards, which is a good thing as well. Yes, of course, you can work alongside your study. It's about planning time. I do sometimes spend my sort of pastoral time helping students plan their time, understanding how to negotiate with the boss, that they really ought to not work quite so many hours in order to not affect the work. So I would say we're kind of life coaches as well in some ways. There's a huge support network. We have amazing support facilities that the students can drop in and sign up for, but also we can refer our students to support if they need it to balance that kind of work-life stuff. You don't have to know what sort of career. I don't know what career I'm wanting yet, so I'm still working on it. So we keep things open. And then finally, we've got Instagram accounts. I'm the one behind the textile design ones. If you get home tonight and think, I didn't ask that, feel free to drop me a line. I may not answer until Monday, just because I think I should have a life. But I know that's a bit needy, isn't it? But also you've got the fashion account there, and so you can contact people through that as well. But yeah, I think they give you a really good idea of the kind of day-to-day, week-to-week experiences of our students, and we're incredibly proud of our students and hugely proud of the courses that we work on. So thank you so much for coming.